Welcome to Rivalry Saturday, college football's biggest, baddest, and bodacious day. This is better than Thanksgiving leftovers, y'all. What upsets will happen? Which teams will have a chance at championship bling? All of that gets decided. So grab your helmet and man those battle stations. We're ready for another round of General Gridiron's football foretelling for Week 13. Kentucky at Florida. The Swamp Lizards are on task, and on task too, to sliver away from the Cypress Stumps and work their way north to Hotlanta in a few weeks for their first SEC championship appearance since 2016. By the way, UF has not captured a conference title since Tim Tebow led them to a thumping over Bama back in 2008. After UK's behind-whooping of epic proportion last Saturday to the Angry Elephants, Jort fans shouldn't be too concerned that Mark Stoops' kiddies will show up at Florida Field and walk away with a win like they did the last time these two met in Gainesville, a Kentucky triumph that halted an embarrassing 31-game winning streak for the boys from old Florida. It'll be like old times again for the socially distanced home crowd in this one. The Generals victor, Florida. Pittsburgh at Clemson. The 1 week up, 1 week down pesky Panthers of Pitt have already clawed their way to 5 wins in a season that can be put on ice at any minute. Don't believe me? Just ask the guys in orange for this ACC battle. Clemson was ready for combat last weekend against the Noles when FSU left Dabo Swinney's ball club at the altar. Coach Pat Narduzzi, again with 5 wins to his credit, won't be jockeying for a spot in Charlotte after the Paw Patrol comes running down that hill. But the Yeller Cats' field general should have digested just enough catnip to keep him employed after this feline feud coming his way in the South Carolina upstate. The Generals victor, Clemson roars to victory. Georgia at South Carolina. 1990s Georgia Bulldog quarterback and home state hero Mike Bobo will be coaching against his alma mater for the first time Saturday at the Chicken Coop. The premature balding ball coach ascended to the Columbia Poultry Company's CEO after another 1990s dog great failed in his second gig leading an SEC East rival of the Red and Black. And another one of the Clinton-era Georgia Canines will have his much-too-small visor twisted on tight for this primetime post-Turkey Day encounter in the Palmetto State's capital city. Kirby Smart's boys had one extra bone in their bowl to bite Bully's ankle last Saturday night. The jet lag across that Savannah River, coupled with upstart QB Luke Doty's much-anticipated arrival for the Cox, will spring an upset. The Generals victor, South Carolina. Oklahoma at West Virginia. We're only a few weeks away now from the Big 12 championship game in Arlington. And guess what? Both OU and WVU have booked hotel rooms in the Metroplex with no plans to cancel. And these two can have that kind of confidence when the opportunity for championship glory is in the cards. But lose this conference Donnybrook at Milan Pusker, and the chance to go against Iowa State, most likely, in the big game takes a dramatic downturn. In this one, Spencer Rattler will be a bit rattled by the high altitude of the Mountain State as the number 1 total defense in the country, starring freshman defensive linemen Akeem Messador and Jeffrey Pooler Jr., will be in the land grabbers' backfield all night in this ABC primetime showcase. The Generals victor, West Virginia. Mississippi State at Mississippi. Thanksgiving in the South is a special time when families come together for food, fellowship, family, and the most important F, football. But when the two hospitality state universities ain't featured in the Turkey Day evening programming, all that turkey meat, sweet potato souffle, stuffing, and pumpkin pie seem to come back and bite you. Coaching heavyweights Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin enter this rivalry game for the first time leading their respective teams. The Confederate Sharks seem to have found their Robert E. Lee at QB in Matt Corral and a Stonewall Jackson kind of receiver in Elijah Moore. But the Fish's Gettysburg is that awful defense, which the Pirate and his puppies will outflank. This one will be ugly. The Generals victor, Mississippi State takes the Egg Bowl. Still to come on our Rivalry Week prognostications. The undefeated Coastal Carolina Chanticleers make the 20-hour drive to San Marcos to try and stay perfect against Texas State. And a conference championship berth, and more importantly, the championship for the heart of Dixie's at stake when arch rivals Auburn and Alabama meet in T-Town. Don't go anywhere. General Gridiron will be right back. Hey, it's General Gridiron back with you. Each week, this fabulous football forecast is heard on some of the finest radio stations in America. On WSKE FM 104.3, Cool Country 104.3 in Bedford, Pennsylvania. And my FM 93.9 Chesterfield County's radio station, WCRE FM 93.9 and 1420 AM in Sherrill, South Carolina. We appreciate all of our radio affiliates. Now, let's get back into the football fight. Memphis at Navy. In normal times, these two hit the high seas and try to ride their way to an American Athletic Conference West Division crown. But the dang China virus has created havoc all over the land and seas. So the American threw division play overboard this fall, and it's best two for the championship bout. With that being said, the defending conference champ Tigers of the Bluff City have a lot of work to do, and a lot of luck's needed if they will have the chance to repeat. Cincinnati and Tulsa have the upper hand right now. The Sailors are going to lay siege on the visitors upon their arrival in Maryland's capital city, slowing down the game tremendously with that A-back and B-back running fun. The Generals victor? Navy. Coastal Carolina at Texas State. 8 seasons ago, Jamie Chadwell coached the Division II Delta State Fighting Okra Statesmen to a 3-7 year in his debut season in Cleveland, Mississippi. Then he skedaddled in the middle of the night for the bright lights of Ladson, South Carolina, where Charleston Southern brought him in, and he turned the Bucks into winners. 2 Big South titles in 4 years. The former East Tennessee State quarterback ultimately left one part of 843 for the Redneck Riviera section of 843. Now, Chadwell's got the fancy French Roosters in the top 20 and undefeated. But with this sojourn to Georgia Strait University, Texas State's going to win by 100. And if you'll buy that, the Generals got some oceanfront property in Arizona, and we'll throw the Golden Gate in free. The Generals victor, Coastal Carolina. LSU at Texas A&M. The 3-3 Tigers go on the prowl to College Station for this relatively new SEC West rivalry. A much-needed win for Coach O and new QB sweetheart T.J. Finley in the Ozarks in the days before Thanksgiving. But the top 5 Ags are by no means a pushover team in 2020. The West is just that rough, though. Jimbo Fisher has pulled out a strong season thus far, but here's the latest test against the fiery Cajun from Lafourche Parish. The 12th man, which will kind of be more like the 1/4 man, will be a factor Saturday night, and thankfully this year's battle in Kyle Field won't have to extend to 7 overtimes. The Generals victor in regulation, Texas A&M. Colorado at USC. General Gridiron learned a valuable lesson the other day. Don't you go picking against the men of Troy. Sure, the Trojans in Cinderella-like form just eked out wins against Arizona State and Arizona, but surely to goodness Clay Helton's Gritters couldn't beat Utah in Salt Lake City. Boy, howdy. How about a 33-17 shellacking over the home crowd? Now 3-0 Southern Cal is back in the Coliseum for a battle of unbeatens. CU and brand new coach Carl Durrell are making headlines too. Watch for Buffs tailback Jared Broussard to counterpunch them Hollywood boys and film his own blockbuster triumph in South LA. The Generals victor, Colorado in an upset. Auburn at Alabama. The rivalry of rivalries. No other game has this much hate behind it all season. It never really matters how either team's fared thus far. This is always a fight. The Tigers haven't had a perfect season, losing a few conference games along the way. As far as the number 1 Houndstoothians, well, you know all about Bama. The Tide seems to be unstoppable this year, and just to make things even tougher on the War Eagle fans, this year's Iron Bowl is in T-Town. This classic may not be a blowout, but the result isn't much of a question. The Tide rolls on to 8-0 and a favorite for the national championship game. The Generals victor, Alabama. Well, we've given y'all some dandies on display at Gridiron Fields across the land Saturday, but we don't want you having post-Thanksgiving guilt. Stick around after this short break for our rapid-fire picks. Where's that pumpkin pie? This is General Gridiron back with you. We've already maneuvered through this rivalry weekend's frontline college football showdowns. Now it's time to get y'all ready to storm the field with our rapid-fire football forecast. Cincinnati terrorizes Temple. Nevada nukes Hawaii. Western Kentucky crowns UNC Charlotte. Ohio State obliterates Illinois. Indiana beats Maryland. Tennessee two-steps past Vanderbilt. Oklahoma State outshoots Texas Tech. Northwestern outstudies Michigan State. Tulsa drills Houston. Georgia Tech engineers a win against Duke. Virginia vexes Florida State. Rutgers rips Purdue. Missouri gets a border rivalry win against Arkansas. Georgia Southern outpeach State's Georgia State. Wisconsin gets back on track against Minnesota. Louisiana Lafayette out Louisiana's Louisiana Monroe. Appalachian State skis past Troy. Baylor in a close one over Kansas State. And in the battle of Big Ten embarrassments, Michigan somehow wins against Penn State. Well, troops, you can now put your swords back in their scabbards. We're all out of picks on this Rivalry Week 13 edition of General Gridiron. We'll be back again next week. Same General Gridiron time, same General Gridiron station. So don't forget to tune us in on the radio, Facebook, YouTube TV, and at y'all.com, the ultimate guide to the South. And don't forget to tell your friends all about the show. Just search for General Gridiron. This is John Rawl, the General of Gridiron Glory, thanking you for letting me be part of your Rivalry Weekend. General Gridiron is a production of y'all.com. For more, log on to the ultimate guide to the South.
That'll be all. Y'all